If you're being stopped by a law enforcement officer, slow down, turn on your four-way flashers, and select a safe location, paved, level, away from traffic, visible to traffic, and able to support the weight of the vehicle. Avoid hills, curves, soft shoulders, and construction sites. It is appropriate for you to drive to the next exit, rest area, or safe inspection site. This will provide safety to you, your vehicle, the inspector, and the motoring public. At the weigh station, the weigh station operator will direct you to a secure location on the property and instruct you to wait in the cab for the inspector. Chalk blocks will be placed under the vehicle's wheels to secure it from moving. You will be instructed to turn off the engine and keep the key in the on position, place the transmission in neutral, and release all brakes and remain at the controls.
I think we can perform a CVSA Level 1 inspection.
Remain in the truck until instructed otherwise by the inspector. Roll the window down so you can hear any verbal commands from the inspector. Initially, the inspector will ask for the following documents: your valid commercial driver license and your current medical card, skills performance evaluation certificate if applicable, record of duty status if applicable, and bills of lading if applicable, registration, fuel tax cab card if applicable, RS-3 form if applicable, and documentation of annual inspection. Your vehicle documentation should be in a central location in an orderly manner. If you're hauling hazardous materials, the shipping papers must be within your reach while seat-belted in the driver's seat. Trailer registration and documentation of annual inspection will also need to be presented to the inspector. The inspector will verify that you have a working fire extinguisher and emergency warning devices.
Fire extinguisher.
Beginning in front of the tractor, headlamps, turn signals, four-ways, wipers, and horn will be checked. The inspector will move down the left side of the tractor, looking at the left front wheel, rim, hub, tire, and mirrors. The inspector is looking for cracks, broken or missing lugs, underinflated tires, serious cuts, bulges, tread wear and tread groove depth, defects in the sidewall or improper repairs, exposed fabric or cord. At the fuel tank area, the inspector will look for leaks, loose mountings, and a loose or missing cap. He will also look at the exhaust system for securement and leaks. While inspecting the trailer front, the inspector will look for chafing against any part of the vehicle, glad hand connections for proper seating, lines not crimped or improperly spliced, audible air leaks. The drive axles will be inspected in the same manner as the left front wheel, rim, hub, and tire. Upper, lower, and sliding fifth wheel will be examined for worn, loose, or broken components. The rear lighting devices will be examined for proper color and operation. The frame and body of the trailer's left side will be inspected for buckling, cracks, broken or missing fasteners, and sagging. Also for sagging, leaking, or improperly spliced air hoses. Where load is visible, the inspector will examine blocking and bracing and for required quantity and condition of securement devices. The left rear trailer wheels will be inspected in the same manner as the left front wheel, rim, hub, and tire. If applicable, the sliding tandem will be examined for alignment and position, as well as damaged, worn, or missing components. At the rear of the trailer, lights will be checked for proper color and operation. Projecting loads are inspected for proper flagging or lights. If the trailer is enclosed, the inspector may instruct you to open the door.
Driver, if you would, I want to get you to break the seal on the truck for me.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, open it up. Yes, sir.
He will enter the trailer and examine the cargo securement, blocking, and bracing, and the integrity of the packaging of hazardous materials. The shipping papers should match the load being transported. If an inspector breaks a seal, then following the inspection, the inspector will apply the appropriate agency's replacement seal. If you are towing a double trailer, all applicable items in the previous steps for wheels, tires, frames, suspension, brakes, fifth wheels, lights, enclosed trailers, and cargo securement will be examined. The safety devices, chains, or cables will be inspected for sufficient number, missing components, improper repairs, and devices that are incapable of secure attachment. The right rear trailer wheels and right side of the trailer, right tank area, and right front side of the trailer will be inspected as the previous left side. You will be instructed to open the hood so he can see the components more easily. With your engine off, the inspector will instruct you to rock the steering wheel so he can examine key components. He will inspect for loose, worn, bent, damaged, or missing parts. He'll inspect the steering gearbox for looseness and for missing or loose bolts, movement of the pitman arm on the steering gearbox output shaft, loose stud bolts, loose nuts, and any welded repairs to any steering components. He'll also inspect ball socket joints for movement.
Driver, what's your air pressure?
The inspector will tell you that he is going under the vehicle to continue the examination. It's very important for you to follow the inspector's commands. The inspector will need to verify that your air pressure is between 90 and 100 psi. If the air pressure drops below 90 psi, you should immediately notify the inspector. Under no circumstances are you to start the engine or leave the driver's seat while the inspector is under the vehicle. Both sides of the front suspension will be examined for indication of misalignment, shifted, cracked, or missing springs, loosened shackles, missing bolts, spring hangers unsecured at the frame, and cracked or loose U-bolts. The front axle will be inspected for any unsecured axle positioning parts and signs of axle misalignment. The frame and frame assembly will be examined for cracks, bends, sagging, loose fasteners, or any defect that may lead to the collapse of the frame. He will inspect for corrosion fatigue, cracked or missing cross members, and missing or defective body parts. All will be examined for missing, non-functioning, and loose components. He will look for contamination with grease or oil, or cracked parts on the brake system, such as brake drums, shoes, rotors, pads, lining, brake chambers, chamber mounting, push rods, and slack adjusters. He will also listen for air leaks around brake components and lines. Lastly, he'll mark each push rod and exit from under the vehicle. Again, the inspector will verify that the air pressure is between 90 and 100 psi. You will be instructed to fully apply the brakes and hold until directed by the examiner to release. The inspector will go back under the vehicle and measure push rod travel at each chamber. He will also be listening for any air leaks. If an air leak is detected, the inspector will test your air loss rate. You will be instructed to start the engine and let idle. Release all brakes. Apply your service brakes. The pressure should not drop below 80 psi. While the ignition is on, you will be instructed to pump the service brakes down to approximately 55 psi. At this point, your low air warning device should be activated. You should hear an audible warning or see a visual warning device.
If you would, step out of your vehicle for me.
Next, the inspector will examine the tractor protection system. He will ask you to release the brakes, step out of the tractor, and disconnect both glad hands. You will be instructed to re-enter the tractor and make a full brake application when the inspector directs you to. The examiner will verify that no air is leaking out of the glad hands. If the air pressure drops below 20 psi, it will be considered an out-of-service violation. The inspector will measure the free play in the steering wheel. If your tractor has power steering, you will need to restart the engine. With your engine running, release the tractor brakes and leave the trailer brakes set. The fifth wheel will now be checked for excessive play. The inspector will remove the wheel chocks. While standing at the side of the vehicle, the inspector will instruct you to slowly pull forward, brake, then slowly back up, then brake. He will be looking for excessive movement between the upper and lower fifth wheel halves. At this point, the examiner will finish the inspection by completing the necessary documentation. He will then go over the results with you. You will be responsible for correcting any out-of-service deficiencies before you resume service. Deficiencies that do not place you out of service must be corrected before the vehicle is dispatched again. If violations are noted on your inspection report, your carrier official must sign the report, retain a copy, and mail the original back to the inspecting agency within 15 calendar days. If you have successfully passed the Level 1 inspection with no critical item defects, a decal will be issued. This will be proof to other inspectors that you have been through a Level 1 inspection within the past 90 days. If you have performed your daily pre- and post-trip vehicle inspection of the following items, you will minimize violations which would be found during the Level 1 inspection. Brake systems, coupling devices, exhaust systems, frame, fuel systems, lighting devices, turn signals, brake lamps, tail lamps, and headlamps, steering mechanism, suspension, tires, van and open-top trailers, wheels and rims, safe loading, windshield wipers, mirrors, emergency equipment. This overview covers a basic Level 1 inspection. Non-bulk hazmats requiring placards, cargo tank or other bulk packages and motor coaches require other guidelines and inspection procedures. Refer to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations and Title 49, Code of Federal Regulations for Hazardous Materials. Refer to www.cvsa.org or www.fmcsa.dot.gov for further guidance.